Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to address a question that I'd received in the comments of one of my previous videos. Someone had asked me how I'm implementing GTD or getting things done in my planning process. I figured I would divide these up into a couple different videos because there are several different steps. But the first one I wanted to start with actually combines probably the first three steps. It's collect, process, and organize, which is basically deciding the next action. So I actually have three different planners here. This is my personal everyday carry. This one is my work planner. And then this is my momentum planner that has kind of my project planning in it. So I want to show you how these three interact and where I keep my collect and process information in each of these. So I'm going to start with my everyday carry. So we'll just move those two out. So I don't necessarily have an inbox in my everyday carry planner. Pretty much if I have something that comes in that I want to track, it goes straight to wherever it needs to go. So I do have a to-do section. And here I just keep everything that's personal kind of combined together. I don't have a separate list necessarily for the house specifically. I think I mentioned in a previous video, at one point in time I had broken down a few tasks by area and I've kept them here just because I have a few things I have not completed. I do have a home list, but this is more for home projects. Right now it's completing the kitchen remodel, remodeling the bathroom, replacing some fencing, and then a new pergola at our house. But these are long-term projects, but anything that I want to actually get done is here in this personal section. So if I have a to-do item for the house, it's just going to get written straight down here. Now if it's something, say for example, like a book that I want to read, that actually will come back here under lists. I'll just write it straight here on books I want to read. Now I do have other inboxes aside from just this. To be honest, I'm actually better about processing my other inboxes at work than I am at home, but I have obviously my mailbox where we get physical mail, and I have an email inbox as well where I get email that comes in. I'm trying to be better, and I think I've established the habit at work. I just need to work on establishing it at home of keeping things I need to work on that come in via email in a pending section, and then actually making a note of what the associated task is here. Same thing with some of the items I get in via mail. Like for example, I know I just got my car registration. That has not made it into this list here. Sometimes I will go ahead and add it on to a daily page as the thought comes up. I finally remembered right when I got the notification, because my car is dinging at me right now that I need to replace my smart key battery. So I actually stopped, grabbed a pen, and wrote it down on today when I got the notification yesterday on Tuesday so that I would remember to do this today. So there's a couple different places I put things. Like if I know I really need to get it done on a certain day, I'll put it on that day. Or as I mentioned, I'll stick it here under my to-do list to this list of things that I'll pull from. Now I did talk previously about how this to-do list is set up, and I'll show you the other list I have in my work planner that it's set up similarly. These are numbered, and there's also a page number. So if I would like to pull one of these tasks onto my daily page, I can not only jot a note that's a summary of the task, but I can also reference 1.27 is clear dresser tops, so that if I complete the task, I know to come back here and cross it off, so it's no longer on kind of my master task list. So that's how I'm handling the collect, process, and organize section of my home everyday carry planner. So let me grab my work planner. So this is my work planner, and let me flip to the to-do section. These are the different types of lists that I could potentially have. Really, I'm only working with a project list, a waiting for list. This WO is work, GF is Google Forms, and then OS is on-site. So these are two different areas that I do tasks in. So they have their own list because it would be tasks I would tend to group together. And of course, I actually rewrote my list and consolidated down from 4 pages to 2 when I had crossed a bunch of things off. And I wasn't paying attention, so I wrote on the front of one sheet and the back of the other. It doesn't matter for right now, I just have them paper clipped together so I can kind of quickly flip back and forth between the 2 pages. When I run out of room on this page, I'm literally just going to open this up and start writing in here. The page numbers really don't matter. It's just a reference of what page am I looking for. That's why this is paper clipped together, because I was not paying attention when I did this. So essentially, again, master task list of everything I need to do here, where I've actually gotten in the habit of putting stuff on my master to-do list when it comes in via email, or if I get a piece of paper in my work inbox, I'm writing EM for email, P for paper, so I know if I have supporting information where to find that. And then when I get ready to work on a daily to-do list, then what I will do is actually pull some of these forward. But I'm processing things pretty much as soon as I get them. I'm sitting down, looking at what it is that's coming in, making a decision. Is it something I need to do? Is it something I need to delegate? Is it something that just needs to be filed? And if it's something I need to do, I'm looking at it thinking, what's the very next thing I need to do on this task? That's what David Allen calls the next action. So if I, for example, need to make a dinner reservation, I know what restaurant, but I have no contact information, my next action would be to find their contact information. So maybe that's looking it up on the website. So I might make a note to look up phone number for ABC restaurant on web, and that lets me know what my next action is. Now, David Allen does break his items down by a more granular type of context. For me, I sit in front of my computer all day long. I don't travel very much, and I pretty much always have internet. So it doesn't make sense for me to have a separate office list from computer list, from anywhere list, how he suggests. For me, it's actually better to have kind of a general work list and then separate out types of projects or types of tasks. Because if I'm working on creating Google Forms, once I'm in a flow, I want to keep working on that. So that's why I have these grouped together. But everybody's different, so do what makes sense to you, what makes sense to your life. I mean, I actually added these separately. Same thing with creating new forms and lease addendums in Onsite, which is our leasing software. Once I'm in there, it's kind of a pain. I get in a flow. I just want to get it all done at one time. So that's why these are separated out. But you can just keep one master list if you want. It doesn't really matter. Now, I have started kind of a somewhat of an inbox, I guess. It's basically a pad of paper I ordered from Minted Sugar. It is personalized with my name, and this is just a place where I write down notes and tasks that people walk into my office and say, hey, can you email Onsite regarding a lease editing issue that I'm having? So I make a quick note of what it is here, and either I put it on my task list or I put it on a daily to-do list if I'm doing it that day or doing it a different day. And then when it's been taken off this list and put where it's going to go, then that's when I cross through it. I do have a few other more inboxy sorts of notes that don't have a next action associated with it. It's just something I want to remember. Our apartment association's having a Leasapalooza in May 2018. We may want to send people, but at that time I don't know who's going to be working for us, and technically it's not my decision to make, so it's more of an agenda item that I need to put down. And I do have, under AG, a list of agenda items. So eventually, talk with business partner about sending leasing agents to Leasapalooza in May 2018 is probably gonna make it on this list. I just haven't had a chance to do that yet. Same thing with the asbestos requirements. Having changed in California in November of last year, I just want to make sure that my business partners are aware. One in particular, especially since she oversees our maintenance staff, I just wanna make sure she knows what the law is, and she probably already does, but I always like to just double check and not be the one who's wrong and have us get into trouble. So that's kind of how the inbox situation works. I have a paper inbox at the office. I have an email inbox. And then I also have a pad of paper where I just jot down quick notes when people walk in and say, hey, can you do whatever? That way I don't lose it. Because I would add it to my daily page, but that wasn't always necessarily the best way to do it, because if I didn't get it done, sometimes I forget to move things forward. So like this interrev budget is on this master task list, so I'm not going to worry about making sure it did get forgotten. I already created the hiring packet and actually made a note. I use OmniFocus for my recurring tasks at the office, so I actually put this in here because that's the first place I look when I'm creating my daily list, is I look there for my recurring tasks, and then based on the amount of time I have, based on my schedule and my recurring tasks, that's when I start pulling things off of this list. So that's kind of how I set up my days at work. So this is another section for processing. And again, it's not that big of a deal that this is separate from my personal, because I'm not really working on personal stuff at the office. So if I think of something, I'll jot it down in here, but I don't need to have one task list, because the other thing is, after 12 years, I'm trying to be really good about not working a lot on work if I don't have to when I'm outside of the office. I've put in my share of 12-hour days, and I really don't want to continue doing that. I'm trying to create some balance. Now I do have a flag note here. It just says to-dos to transfer. It's kind of a reminder for me. These are things I need to do at the office before I leave on my trip that I'm going on in a couple of weeks. And it's silly things, but it's stuff I need to remember nonetheless. Making sure I adjust the thermostat because my office will be locked and I don't want to either freeze people out or make people die of heat. So I need to make sure I have that adjusted properly. Making sure that I've accounted for any bills that are going to come in while I'm gone, and making sure I've accounted for allowing payroll to be completed. So those are things I need to transfer the list or just create like a to do before I leave type of list, which is something I will oftentimes create so it doesn't get lost in the things that don't have to be done right now type of items like these. And if you actually read David Allen's book, he does talk about that, having a to-do before vacation or to-do before trip list that's a temporary context of just things you need to remember to do before you get out of town. So that's a kosher GTD sort of thing. All right. So next up is the momentum planner, and I'm going to, don't know that I can zoom out too much, but let me jump over here. And in one of the previous videos, I was talking about how I had not yet completed the monthly and quarterly pages, which I have now actually gone back and done. So this page I think you guys had already seen because it was completed. This was the monthly items that I had broken down from the quarterly page. So here I'm actually deciding next actions and breaking down projects into either sub-projects or tasks and dividing them up for weeks. So this is the other place. This is the other place I look when I'm trying to decide what I'm working on daily here. So I am kind of pulling from several different directions, but this is a thinking planner for me. This is where I write down like thought processes and how I'm working through things. Omnifocus again is recurring tasks. It's something I've set up months ago, maybe even years ago. Every Tuesday I do this, and so I don't have to think about that going on. I just need something that will be a consistent reoccurring task creator, so I have a reference for what that is. So these are not necessarily next actions always, but it's what I need to be doing, like creating a job hiring packet for the community manager position. The next action is probably not going to be this. It's going to be more granular, but this is a placeholder for me, and at this time I didn't know exactly what it was going to look like, but now that I do, I'm replicating for all the other job hiring packets. So it's become more of than creating a next action. After you've done some set of a project, you can also create more of a checklist. So that's almost what this job hiring packet community manager was, is it helped me create a checklist for things I want to include in the other job hiring packets. So it's an interview assessment form, it's a job description, it's interview questions, and then if anything else that's needed. So like for a maintenance tech, there's a skills list of the skills that we ask if they have. So things like replacing water heaters, replacing simple plumbing, troubleshooting appliances, so we remember to ask. So I've created either next actions or checklists off of this. And again, I'm also making notes of events that I have going on in a certain week, especially if they're going to cut into the days that I have available. So that's how I'm pulling this information in. And just so you can see, taking that to the weekly planner, I think I'd mentioned also in a previous video that I'm pulling in workout first because that supports my first goal of getting to a healthier weight and size. And I always do that first thing in the morning, so I want to make sure that that's a priority each day. And even though I actually do have that information in the personal planner on the daily pages, because at the beginning of the week or the beginning of the month I'm deciding what I'm doing, I still write it down in here because repetition reinforces. And so I don't mind the fact that it's in several different places because the repetition is good, it brings it to mind, and I don't lose track of that. So this week's projects, work on job hiring packets. Do you remember that was here? I specified more which ones, I've broken them down over several weeks, but you can see the broken down by day here. This is today, we're on a Wednesday. I had a fun dentist appointment this morning. I can actually talk again. My mouth was numb for a little while. And then the rest of the week I have a board retreat, so I'm going to be out of the office. So when I do have something like that going on, I basically just mark off the entire day, so I know that I'm not really going to get any work tasks done. And then the following week you can see is blank, but it's kind of a similar idea here. So that's how I'm combining everything together for those first 3 steps. So collection for me involves pulling information from my paper inboxes, which is either like my mailbox at home, my work inbox where everybody puts stuff for me at the office, and when it goes from like the common area inbox, I have an inbox on my desk of things that are waiting to be processed. I'll confess I've actually been kind of exhausted for the last couple of weeks after after our company left. So I've finally went through and shuffled through everything and did an emergency scan of what's in my inbox, but I haven't gone through and actually processed it and gotten it, written down into the to-do list of this planner. Same thing with email. Emergency scans, I've been putting stuff in the pending folder, but I need to go through and look and see what's still outstanding that I need to finish and get on this task list. I think I slept 10 hours one night, 8 hours the next 2 nights last weekend, so I'm actually feeling a little more with it and a little more functional because I was in a fog for the last couple of weeks, just trying to get through and figure out exactly what I was doing. So we talked about collections. I'm pulling email inboxes, getting that information, I'm processing it, figuring out what is it I need to do with it. If it's something I need to file, I'm filing it right away, especially at work, or I have kind of an outbox section if it's something I file at a later time, and then I just kind of bulk file that on a single day, like once or twice a month. If it's at home, I will confess, filing is not my favorite thing. It's also not something that I do very often. I have an inbox at home that's basically just all stuff to be filed. If it's something I need to do something about, if it's quick, I usually will go ahead and do it, or I'll write it down on today's list in either planner. Or if it's something I need to do in the future, I'm either pre-scheduling it if I know I have time to do it on a certain date, or adding it to that to-do list in either one of these planners, whether it's work or home. And then as specifically what I'm writing down, that's the organized part. I'm writing down what that next action is. For me, when I'm writing down tasks, I don't necessarily need to look at all of the next actions. What I'm wanting is just a bookmark. It's a placeholder. This is where I start, because if I'm trying to make a restaurant reservation, I know that as soon as I look up the phone number, the next thing I'm going to do is call or make a reservation on their website. I don't need to list out all the individual steps. The only exception, as you've seen probably in a previous video, and I'll link it actually down below if you haven't watched it, is when I'm dividing a super large project into smaller projects and smaller projects, which is what I'm doing with our onboarding overhaul. So this is everything that's broken down. As I mentioned, I broke down everything into smaller projects, and then from here is where I will get into the next actions. So on my annual planner, I broke it down by pre-hire, day of hire, post-hire. Those are my 3 sections. And right now I'm kind of working on this first section. Job posting, interview, application. I'm working on this interview section, which is then going to go backwards to the job posting section, because part of the interview process is I'm reviewing all the job descriptions. And I usually write the job postings based off of the job descriptions. So these aren't necessarily in the right order, but it gives me, again, a checklist to work off of. So I know as I get into one section of it, oh, this is going to relate back to this. And so I'm almost kind of working on this on the fly, trying to figure out what comes first. So yeah, that was a quick review of how I'm handling kind of larger projects. I just basically need something that gives me a placeholder. So that's what you're going to find on my to-do lists. So the next 2 steps are review, which is basically making sure everything's current, and then do. If you're interested in hearing more about functional planning, please subscribe. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. If you have any questions, any comments, or any videos that you're interested in seeing in the future, please leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching.